They say life rarely collapses in one dramatic moment. It usually crumbles slowly, quietly, silently. That's exactly what was happening to a man named Christopher, long before he realized it. Christopher was 40, 142 kilos, moving through life with the heaviness of a man carrying years of exhaustion, but no awareness of how much he had already lost. Not money, not relationships, but himself. He wasn't a bad person. He wasn't lazy. He wasn't irresponsible. He was just trapped in survival mode. For 15 years, he worked as a warehouse stock manager, clocking in at 5 a.m., returning home at 7 p.m. Every day looked the same. Wake up exhausted, drag himself to work, grind through the day, come home drained, collapse on the couch. His body was just a machine that carried him from one responsibility to the next. Breakfast? Usually something he grabbed while driving. Lunch? Whatever he could eat at his desk. Dinner? In front of the TV because sitting at the table felt like too much effort. Weekends? A blur of pizza boxes, beer bottles, and the couch that had molded itself into the shape of his body. He told himself, "I deserve to rest," never realizing that his definition of rest was killing him slowly. Small warning signs started appearing. Climbing stairs felt like scaling a mountain. Tying his shoes became a battle between his hands and his stomach. His kids asked him to play, but he always had an excuse ready. His wife asked him to take a walk, but he was too tired. But the pain that cut the deepest wasn't the physical heaviness. It was the look in his daughter's eyes when she stopped asking him to play altogether. She didn't complain. She simply learned that her father wasn't available, and Christopher saw it. And he hated it. But he did nothing, because he'd tried before. 3 failed gym attempts, a strict diet that lasted 3 weeks, a morning running routine that survived only 5 days. Every failure chipped away at his confidence until he accepted a dangerous lie. "This is just who I am." He convinced himself it was genetics, metabolism, age, time. But the truth was simpler. He didn't believe he could change anymore. And then came the moment that shattered everything. It was a Saturday morning. His 9-year-old son was playing football in the backyard while Christopher sat in a plastic chair, panting from simply existing. He wasn't playing. He was watching, always watching. The boy kicked the ball too hard and it landed in the neighbor's flower bed. "Dad, can you get it for me?" Christopher stood up, walked slowly, breathed heavily, bent down to pick up the ball, and stayed down. Not because he was injured, not because something snapped, but because he couldn't lift his own body back up. His arms shook, his legs trembled. Sweat poured down his face. His son watched in silence. And in that silence, something broke inside Christopher. The quiet, humiliation of a grown man trapped on all fours in his neighbor's garden. It was the neighbor who helped him up, not his strength, not his willpower. Another man had to lift him. That night, he sat on the edge of his bed and cried. Not soft tears, deep, helpless tears of a man who had finally met the truth he'd been running from. He cried because a 40-year-old man should not need rescue to stand. He cried because his son had witnessed it. He cried because he knew this moment would carve itself into his child's memory forever. "My father was too weak to get up." His wife entered the room quietly. She didn't lecture him. She didn't scold him. She simply wrapped her arms around him and whispered, "Chris, you need help, real help." And for the first time, he admitted it. The next morning, heavy, embarrassed, desperate, he called the only person he knew who had successfully lost weight and kept it off. A friend named Marcus. "Man, did you take medicine, surgery, some extreme plan? How did you do it?" Marcus paused, then said something unexpected. "I did go to a doctor, but not the kind you're thinking of. He didn't give me medicine. He gave me a philosophy." Christopher had no idea yet, but his entire life was about to change. This was the day everything changed. 3 days later, Christopher walked into a consultation room that didn't look anything like a clinic. There were no posters about heart disease or anatomy charts. No sharp smell of disinfectant. No machines. No cold steel. Just a simple wooden table. 2 chairs and a huge window framing a quiet Japanese garden outside. Bamboo swaying. Gravel raked in patterns. A single stone lantern glowing softly even in daylight. It felt less like an appointment and more like he had stepped into a small temple. The door slid open gently, and a thin elderly man entered. Silver hair tied neatly, calm posture, eyes that looked like he could see straight through your excuses without judging them. "Christopher," he said with a soft bow. "Welcome." This was Dr. Teishi Yamamoto. Not a typical doctor. Something about him felt ancient, grounded, unmoving, like a monk who had chosen medicine as a secondary art. Christopher sat down nervously, hands shaking slightly, still carrying the humiliation from the flower bed. "So," Dr. Yamamoto began, "tell me why you're here." Christopher told him everything: the weight, the exhaustion, the years of failed attempts, the embarrassment, the moment he couldn't stand up in front of his son. While he talked, the doctor didn't type anything, didn't interrupt, didn't take notes. He simply listened, fully, attentively, something Christopher wasn't used to. When the story ended, Christopher braced himself, expecting a lecture. But Dr. Yamamoto asked one simple question. "How many times have you tried to lose weight?" 3, maybe 4 serious attempts. "And how long did each attempt last?" "A few weeks, 2 months at most." The doctor nodded as if he already knew the answer. Then he said something Christopher never expected. "You didn't fail because of your body. You failed because your strategy was foolish." Christopher blinked, confused. "My strategy?" The doctor leaned back. "Your body spent 40 years building these habits, but you tried to win a 40-year war in a 2-month battle. You forced yourself into extreme change. Your mind rejected the attack." Christopher swallowed hard. "So what do I do?" Dr. Yamamoto folded his hands. "I will give you a new system, but you must accept that what I give you will feel insultingly small." Christopher was desperate enough to agree. "Yes, anything." The doctor smiled gently, then said, "Tomorrow morning, when you wake up, you will drink 1 glass of water. Nothing else." Christopher waited for more. "Then what? Diet plan? Gym? Walking? Supplements?" "Nothing else," the doctor repeated. "For 2 weeks, your only assignment is to drink 1 glass of water after you wake." Christopher felt a bit stupid. "Doctor, with respect, I need to lose 50 kilos. A glass of water isn't going to fix that." The doctor leaned forward slightly, his eyes calm but sharp. "You're right. A glass of water will not help you lose 50 kilos. Christopher felt his chest sink. "But," the doctor continued, "it will help you do something far more important. It will teach you that you can keep a promise to yourself." A long silence followed. "And Christopher," he added gently, "if you cannot keep a small promise, you will never keep a big one." Christopher left the clinic annoyed, disappointed, even a little angry. He paid money to be told to drink water? But that night, as he stared at the full glass on his bedside table, one sentence echoed in his mind. "You need to prove to yourself that you can keep a promise." The next morning, he drank the water. The morning after that, he drank it again. On day 7, he woke up thinking about the glass before his alarm even rang. By day 14, something tiny, almost invisible, had shifted. He walked back into the doctor's office. "I did it," he said. "Every day. It didn't change much, but I did it." Dr. Yamamoto smiled softly. "You have just completed the first principle. Kaizen, microscopic improvement. 1 small step repeated until it becomes identity." Christopher felt something break open inside him. The beginning of trust, the beginning of belief. He didn't know it yet. But this tiny glass of water was the first domino in a chain that would eventually rebuild his entire life. Christopher thought Dr. Yamamoto's glass of water plan was nothing more than a warm-up. But what he didn't realize was that he had just stepped into an entire system, a philosophy older, deeper, and far more powerful than any diet, gym routine, or motivational speech he had tried before. For 2 weeks, he drank the water. That was it. No salads, no workouts, no 5 a.m. runs. Just water. But that tiny act had done something to him. Something he couldn't explain yet. So when the doctor asked, "Are you ready for the next step?" Christopher nodded. The doctor handed him the second instruction. Serve yourself only half the amount of food you usually take. If you're still hungry after 20 minutes, you may take more. Christopher frowned. That's it? That is it. The first week was torture. He didn't realize how dependent he was on overeating until he stopped doing it. His stomach screamed. His mind begged. His hands hovered near the pot on the stove every night. But each time he remembered the doctor's words. Wait 20 minutes. Not don't eat, just wait. And something surprising happened. Something he didn't expect. Out of 21 meals in 3 weeks, he went back for more only twice. Not because he was disciplined, but because his body was never truly hungry. It was just spoiled. It was habit, not hunger, that had been controlling him. This was Christopher's first encounter with a principle he didn't know by name yet. Harahachi Bu. Eat until 80% full. A practice from Okinawa, home to some of the longest living people in the world. At the next appointment, Christopher had lost 3 kilos. It's not the weight that matters, Dr. Yamamoto said. It's the direction. For the first time in decades, your choices are moving your body where you want it to go. And he was right. Christopher felt something he hadn't felt in years. Control. Not over the food. Not over the scale. But over himself. Then the doctor added the third step. No gym, no workouts, no treadmill. Just this. Each morning, after your glass of water, walk from your front door to your mailbox and back. Christopher laughed. The mailbox? That's barely 20 meters. Yes, the doctor said calmly. And your body has forgotten how to move. We are reminding it respectfully. So the next day, he walked. A short, almost meaningless stroll. On the third morning as he opened the door, he heard a small voice behind him. Dad, can I come too? His 7-year-old daughter slipped on her slippers and grabbed his hand. They walked those 20 meters together. She talked about school, her favorite teacher, and her new best friend. Tiny pieces of her life she never shared before because Christopher was always too tired. When they reached the door again, she asked, "Can we do this every day?" For the first time in years, Christopher said yes. Without hesitation, without pretending, without pain. A few days later, he walked past the mailbox to the corner store. Not because the doctor told him to, but because his daughter wanted to walk a little longer. By the end of the second month, Christopher had lost 8 kilos. But the real shift wasn't on the scale. It was in his reflection, not the body, the eyes. For the first time in years, he saw a flicker of determination. At the next session, the doctor asked gently, "Why are you doing this?" "To lose weight," Christopher said instinctively. "No, why are you really doing this?" There was a long pause, the kind where truth rises to the surface quietly. "I want to watch my children grow up. I want to live long enough to walk my daughter down the aisle. I want to feel alive again, for myself and for them." The doctor nodded, pleased. That is your ikigai, your reason for living. Weight is not your goal. Weight is your obstacle. Your real goal is life. And that changed everything. Now, every time he hesitated, he didn't think about calories or steps. He thought about her small hand holding his. 3 months into his transformation, Christopher was finally beginning to feel lighter, not just in his body, but in his mind. He had lost 14 kilos. His clothes, once tight and unforgiving, now hung a little loose. His colleagues began noticing changes. People asked, "What's your secret?" But he always shrugged. The truth didn't look impressive. It looked tiny, but everything fragile is tested eventually. and his first real test arrived on Thanksgiving. The dining table was a battlefield of temptation. Turkey piled high, mashed potatoes dripping with butter, pies in every flavor. A feast built with love, tradition, and calories. Christopher sat down with his small plate, trying to apply the same habit. Half portion, wait 20 minutes. Before he could take a bite, he heard the first hit. "That's all you're eating. Are you sick?" his mother asked. More followed. "Come on, it's a holiday." "Just this once won't hurt." "Dude, stop being dramatic. Enjoy the food." Everyone at the table said it with love, but love often pressures change back into old shapes. Christopher caved. He filled his plate. Then he filled it again. He ate until his stomach groaned and his mind drowned in guilt. That night, standing in front of the mirror, he whispered, "I blew it. I ruined everything. Here we go again, just like every other time." The old voice in his brain, the voice that had ruled him for years, tried to drag him backward. "You failed. Might as well quit." The next morning, he didn't want water. He didn't want to walk. He didn't want to look at himself. But instead of giving up, he did something new. He texted the doctor. "Dr. Yamamoto, I messed up badly. I don't know if I can continue." He expected disappointment. Instead, the doctor replied within minutes, "Come to my office today." When Christopher arrived, he sat nervously, bracing for a lecture. But the doctor walked in, sat down gently, and said, "Tell me what happened." Christopher explained everything: the food, the pressure, the shame, the fear of slipping back permanently. When he finished, the doctor asked a single question: "Did you drink your water this morning?" Christopher hesitated. "Yes." "And did you walk?" "Yes." The doctor smiled softly. "Then you did not fail. You stumbled." He leaned forward. "Christopher, there is a very big difference between falling and stumbling. A fall stops your journey. A stumble simply shakes your balance." Christopher felt emotion rising in his throat. "But I ate so much." "So what?" The doctor interrupted gently. "One imperfect day does not erase months of effort. One heavy meal does not erase 100 light ones. Imperfection is not the enemy." Then he introduced the next piece of the philosophy: wabi-sabi, the beauty of imperfection. He explained, "In this journey, you will overeat again. You will skip days. You will choose comfort over progress, not once, many times." Christopher's eyes lowered. "But each time," the doctor continued, "you must return the next morning. Because practice is not about never failing. It is about always returning." Something inside Christopher loosened. The suffocating grip of perfection finally cracked. For the first time in his life, he wasn't trying to be flawless. He was learning how to recover. Then the doctor taught him the fourth principle: Gambaru, endurance. The quiet strength of continuing even when it feels impossible. "You showed Gambaru today," the doctor said. "You felt ashamed. You wanted to quit. Yet you drank the water. You walked. You returned. That is strength." And he was right. Over the next few months, Christopher stumbled again. At Christmas, on his son's birthday, during a stressful weekend when he drowned his emotions in pizza and beer. But every time he stumbled, he returned. Water, half plate. Walk, repeat. Gradually, the stumbles became smaller, then less frequent, then less powerful. His brain began to understand. We do not quit anymore. We continue. By month 6, he had lost 23 kilos. But the real victory wasn't the number. It was the moment he bent down to the floor to play Lego with his son and stood up again without struggling. It was the moment his wife said, "Let's walk after dinner." And he said yes instantly. Not out of discipline, but because movement felt natural again. It was the day his daughter asked, "Can we play tag?" And he chased her across the yard laughing, not watching from the sidelines. His body was changing, but more importantly, his life was returning. By the 9th month, something extraordinary had happened to Christopher. Not suddenly, not magically, but gradually, like dawn sneaking into a dark room. He had now lost 35 kilos. His body no longer fought him with every movement. His breath no longer burned after climbing stairs. His legs felt like they belonged to a younger version of himself. But the most surprising shift wasn't physical. It was psychological. He no longer woke up thinking, "I hope I don't give up today." Weeks had passed since that thought even crossed his mind. What used to feel like effort was now simply routine. Water, half plate, walk. Not as tasks, but as identity. At his next appointment, Dr. Yamamoto observed him carefully, noticing the softer jawline, the confident posture, the light in his eyes. Then he asked a question Christopher wasn't expecting. "When was the last time you thought about quitting?" Christopher paused. He genuinely tried to remember. Last week, last month, maybe longer. Finally, he said, "I don't know. It's been a while." The doctor nodded, as if waiting for that answer. "This is because you stopped trying to change. You started living differently. Change done through force is temporary. Change done through identity is permanent." Then he took a blank sheet of paper and drew 5 connected circles, one feeding into the next like a chain. "These," he said, tapping each circle, "are the 5 philosophies that shaped your transformation." He pointed to the first. Ikigai, your purpose. You discovered your real reason. Not weight loss, but your family. Your purpose became your compass. Then, the second circle. Kaizen, 1% improvement. You didn't climb a mountain. You took small steps. Water, half plate, mailbox. The mountain climbed itself. The third, Harahachi Bu. Eat until 80% full. You learned to listen to your body instead of dominating it. Moderation replaced punishment. The fourth, Wabi Sabi. Imperfection is part of the path. You stumbled many times, but you always returned. That is why you succeeded. The fifth, Gambaru. Endure with quiet strength. On hard days, you still did something. Even the smallest effort kept the momentum alive. Christopher stared at the circles. All this time, these 5 ideas had rebuilt him from the inside out. He looked up at the doctor and whispered, "Can I take this with me?" "You can," the doctor said softly. "But understand something important. This is not a weight loss system. This is a life system." He paused. "You can use these same principles to change anything. Your career, your relationships, your money habits, your addictions. Transformation follows the same rules in every part of life." Christopher felt something inside him click into place, like the missing gear of a machine finally sliding where it belongs. He wasn't just losing weight. He was becoming someone he never thought he could be. Someone reliable, someone capable, someone who kept promises, someone his children could look up to. And all of it, started with a glass of water on his bedside table. 12 months after that first quiet appointment with Dr. Yamamoto, Christopher walked into a clinic for something he had avoided for years, a routine blood test. He sat anxiously in the cold chair, fingers tapping, expecting the worst. High cholesterol, high blood pressure, dangerous sugar levels, maybe medication, maybe warnings. He had lived for decades assuming his body was a disaster waiting to be exposed. A few minutes later, the doctor walked into the room holding Christopher's report. He flipped through the pages, then frowned, not with concern, but with confusion. "Christopher, have you started any new medical treatment?" Christopher shook his head. "No, why?" The doctor looked at him again, this time with surprise. "Your cholesterol has dropped. Your blood pressure is normal for the first time in years. Your blood sugar is excellent. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it." Christopher couldn't stop himself. He laughed. "What are you doing?" the doctor asked. Christopher smiled. "Drinking water in the morning." The clinic doctor stared, puzzled. But Christopher understood the joke, because he knew the transformation didn't come from a glass of water. It came from 365 days of tiny, steady, almost invisible choices. The water was simply the first domino. Later that evening, he went home, removed his shirt, and stood in front of the mirror. He didn't see a magazine body. He didn't see a fitness model. He still had loose skin, still had some weight left to lose. He wasn't perfect, but for the first time in 20 years, he wasn't ashamed. He saw a man who had followed through, a man who had returned day after day, a man who kept a promise to himself every morning, no matter how small, a man who refused to fall back into the darkness. 18 months in, Christopher stepped on the scale and almost cried. 90 kilos. He had lost 52 kilos since the day he collapsed in that flower bed. He was healthier than he had been since his early 20s. He wasn't the thinnest man in the world, but he was strong, present, alive. At his daughter's 9th birthday party in the park, the kids ran around, playing tag, screaming with joy. And for the first time, Christopher wasn't watching from a chair. He was running with them, sweating, laughing, chasing, being chased. A parent looked at him and asked, "Man, how did you lose all that weight?" Christopher paused for a moment, wanting to explain the philosophy, the steps, the glass of water, the mailbox walk, the identity shift. But instead, he simply smiled and said, "One step at a time, literally." That night, lying in bed, his wife whispered, "You know what I love most about your transformation?" He expected her to say, "The weight," or "your health," or "your confidence." But she said, "You came back. You were here physically, but you were gone. Now, you're really here." Christopher held her hand, eyes wet. "I almost gave up so many times." She whispered, "But you didn't." He nodded. "No, I didn't." Months later, a Stanford researcher would confirm something Christopher had lived through. Most people don't fail because they're weak, but because they try to change too radically, too quickly. The brain rejects sudden transformation like the body rejects a shock. But small changes, microscopic steps, the brain accepts them, adopts them, turns them into identity. Just like Okinawan longevity studies show, moderate eating, constant movement, a purpose, acceptance of imperfection, quiet, perseverance. These 5 traits appear in every population that lives the longest. And they were the same 5 traits Dr. Yamamoto had quietly woven into Christopher's life. By his 2nd year, Christopher applied Kaizen to his career, one small improvement per day. He earned his first promotion in years. In his 3rd year, he applied Kaizen to his marriage, listening more, walking with his wife, building a partnership instead of surviving in silence. His daughter, now 12, once told her friend, "My dad is the most disciplined person I know." Not because he transformed his body, but because she had seen him drink water every morning, walk every day, stumble and rise without quitting. She watched consistency shape a new identity in front of her eyes, and she would carry that memory for life. Transformation isn't contagious, it's permission. His change became the family's change. 2 years after Christopher first stepped into Dr. Yamamoto's quiet, minimalist office, something remarkable had happened. Something deeper than weight loss, deeper than fitness, deeper than discipline. He had become a man who no longer needed motivation to act, a man who lived inside a system that carried him forward every single day. He had lost weight, yes. He had rebuilt his health, yes. But the most important transformation was invisible. He had rewritten the story of who he believed he was. He now weighed 88 kilos, a number he hadn't seen since his early adulthood. He still drank water first thing every morning, still ate until 80% full, still walked every day, still treated imperfection as a companion rather than an enemy. Things that once felt like effort, now felt like nature. What shocked him most wasn't the consistency, it was how easy it now felt. His identity had changed. His beliefs about himself had changed. His habits had formed a network around him like supportive scaffolding. And slowly, people around him began to notice. Co-workers who had seen him struggle for years now asked him, "What's your routine?" What diet did you follow? What workout program is this? Christopher would smile and say, "Start with something small, smaller than you think." But most people didn't want to hear that. They wanted secrets, shortcuts, fast miracles, 21-day transformations, magic formulas. 9 out of 10 people walked away disappointed with his glass of water answer. But that 10th person, the rare one, would come back to him after 2 weeks and say, "I drank water every single morning and something feels different." And that's the moment Christopher knew, this person will succeed, because they finally understood what everyone else ignored. Real change begins with an act so small, the brain has no reason to resist it. Somewhere in these 2 years, Dr. Yamamoto announced his retirement. Christopher went to see him one last time. The doctor welcomed him with the same calm smile he had shown on the very first day. "I want to thank you," Christopher said softly. "You saved my life." The doctor shook his head. "No, you saved it. I simply showed you the door." Christopher frowned. "But without your system," the doctor interrupted with a gentle wave of his hand, "everything I taught you was already inside you. You only needed permission to go slowly, permission to be imperfect, permission to return, even after stumbling." He leaned forward with warmth in his eyes. "You believed you needed willpower. You didn't. You needed a system that worked with your humanity, not against it." Then he touched the paper with the 5 circles, the same one he had drawn months earlier. "These 5 principles form the backbone of your transformation. Ikigai, your purpose, your deep why. Kaizen, tiny improvements that accumulate like compound interest. Harahachi-bu, moderation, the antidote to excess. Wabi-sabi, accepting imperfection as part of the journey. Gambaru, quiet endurance, doing the minimum on the difficult days." He looked at Christopher with pride. "You mastered these not intellectually, but through action, and now they belong to you forever." Emotions swelled in Christopher's chest. Gratitude, disbelief, relief. He thought of the version of himself who once struggled to get up from a neighbor's flower bed, sweating, humiliated, broken. And he thought of the man he now was, standing tall, calm, steady, present. Dr. Yamamoto spoke again, softly. "This is not a weight loss method. It is a system for life. Use it everywhere. In your work, your relationships, your dreams, your fears. It will never fail you." They stood up. The doctor extended his hand, but Christopher, overwhelmed, pulled him into a gentle embrace. He didn't just feel healed. He felt returned to himself. As he left the office, one truth echoed in his heart. The strength had been in him all along. He simply needed the right system to reveal it. There is a photograph hanging on the wall in Christopher's living room, a painful one. In it, he sits in a cheap plastic chair in the backyard, stomach heavy, shoulders slumped, watching his children play without him. Not participating, not laughing, just observing life as if it were happening behind a glass window. Next to that photo hangs another one. In this second picture, he is on the floor, lighter, stronger, alive. His son is building Lego towers beside him. His daughter is climbing onto his back, giggling, her arms wrapped around his neck. His wife took that picture quietly, without announcing it. When Christopher first saw it, he asked, "Why did you take this?" She smiled softly and said, "Because this is the moment I waited 10 years for, the moment you came back." And she was right. The weight was never the real victory. The muscles, the stamina, none of that was the core of the transformation. The real miracle was that he had returned to life, to himself, to his family. Most people think the highlight of his story is the 52 kilos he lost, or reversing early diabetes, or fixing his blood work, or becoming fitter in his 40s than he was in his 20s. But that wasn't the most meaningful part. The real legacy was what his children saw. Because one day, in a casual conversation at school, his daughter told a friend, "My dad is the most disciplined person I know." Why? because she watched him every morning, drinking water before touching his phone, taking his daily walk even on cold days, eating until he was satisfied, not stuffed, failing, and then returning, stumbling, and then standing again. She saw something rare, a parent who didn't just talk about change, but lived it. When she grows older, at 20, 30, 40, and life hits her with overwhelm, exhaustion, and difficulty, she will remember how her father changed, not with a dramatic makeover, not with a 30-day challenge, not with punishments or extreme effort, but with the smallest possible actions, repeated with humble consistency. One glass of water, half a plate, a few steps to the mailbox, a return after every stumble, a purpose deeper than motivation. Because transformation didn't just reshape Christopher's body, it rewired what his children believed was possible. In year 2 of his journey, he began applying the same philosophy to other areas of his life. To his career, improving tiny things daily, eventually rising to regional manager. To his marriage, talking more, walking together at night, building partnership instead of survival. To his mindset, accepting that the person he used to be no longer controlled who he was becoming. His son, now 14, started waking early to exercise on his own. No lectures, no orders. His wife began meditating because she saw that gentle change works. His daughter carried the belief that growth is built from tiny choices. Transformation wasn't contagious. It gave permission. Christopher realized something profound. When one person in a family begins changing, really changing, everyone around them begins to see themselves differently too. And that is the real legacy. Not the weight loss, not the fitness, not the blood tests, not the compliments, but the fact that a family watched a man rebuild himself one tiny, humble promise at a time, and learned that nothing is impossible when you start small and refuse to stop returning.